President Cyril Ramaphosa is in Pretoria to pay homage to the family of the late Diego Moseneke. We now take you live to Groenkloof in Pretoria.
Did I really?
Yes,
No.
2 days in a row. So we missed you very much.
No matter who asks a question, can you look at this not so handsome gentleman, Mr. President? Just J.
I'm here to mourn.
We're live.
Just remember that.
Okay, colleagues.
So I'm here to mourn.
We're live.
Introduce
So-
the president. Not that he needs an introduction. As you know that we're here at the family of the Mosenekes. We're also joined by retired Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke, which is a very rare occasion. He doesn't speak to the media often. But we're here with the President. Mr. President, can you give us your remarks, please?
Well, I've come here to pay my condolences following the passing of our brother, Diego Moseneke. Yesterday I had the occasion to phone Judge Moseneke to pass on my condolences. It was a very sad conversation over the telephone because he was sad, so was I, because the loss of a brother to him is something that is quite devastating. And I also felt great and continue to feel great sadness because I knew Diego Moseneke. He was one of the fine young people that have been produced by our country. He was in business, but our association with him is that he was a very loyal member of the African National Congress. And I've just come out of the National Executive Committee. They allowed me to come and pay my condolences, as did the Deputy President yesterday. The passing of Diego Moseneke is a great loss for us as the ANC, but also will be for us as a people, as a nation, because he was an outstanding person who loved this country dearly, and who, even though he was in business, was doing really good business, growing the family business, and being a role model to many people that he rubbed shoulders with. I have great respect for him as a human being, and will be among those who will miss him dearly for the attributes that he had as a human being: great compassion, very bright and a hard worker. And so his passing was a bit too early, I wrote in the condolences book, and we will miss him dearly. So that is why I'm here, and been pleased also to meet his widow and his children. Lovely family. And this is where the sadness really sinks in, that a lovely family like this has been deprived of a father, a husband, and an uncle, and to the judge here of a younger brother. So this is a moment of sadness. But I guess on Wednesday, people will have the opportunity to celebrate his life, because that is what we should do as human beings. When somebody who is really outstanding and wonderful passes on, you are duty-bound to celebrate that life and speak about the wonderful attributes that the person had, and the impact and the influence that he had on those that he lived with and those that he happened to brush shoulders with. So that is what has brought me here. And I'm glad the family has welcomed me in the way they did, and we passed our condolences. Thank you very much.
If you can indulge us on the NEC meeting, Mr. President, how is it progressing?
The NEC is going extremely well. It's a new NEC, as you well know, and our discussions are quite substantive. As it is now, they're discussing a number of issues, and we will be able to issue a statement on Monday. So wait for that, and the discussions will have ensued on all manner of things. And it's a really wonderful meeting, good spirit, and people are contributing a great deal. So I'm rather pleased to be leading an organization that's renewing itself and moving ahead.
Mr. President, just the last one from us in the SABC. Your engagement with President Hage Geingob yesterday in the NEC that we were supposed to be in, but you chucked us out. Just what are some of the highlights that he spoke about, particularly when it comes to why the ANC government is still part of the International Criminal Court, particularly with President Putin coming in August?
Well, we had a wonderful engagement with President Hage Geingob. Both our organizations, SWAPO and the ANC, are liberation movements essentially, and there is a lot that we share. We are sister parties. They will soon be celebrating the 63rd celebrations of anniversary rather, and we are their elder sister as the ANC, but a lot binds us together. We were together in the trenches fighting against the evil system of apartheid, both here and in Namibia, and so we found a great deal of commonality in the objectives that we set out as liberation movements to free the people of our two countries, but also to foster development in our two respective countries. And we are linked at the hip in the most meaningful way, both economically and both being peoples of Southern Africa. So we exchanged views on the journey that SWAPO has been traversing since their own independence, and the journey that the ANC is also traversing, the challenges that they face, and the achievements that they are making on a number of fronts. And there is a lot that is common between our two parties. So it was really a wonderful moment of exchange. By the way, he was a very ever-first head of state and head of a party to come and address the National Executive Committee. So yesterday we made history because this has never happened with the ANC. So that was a great deal of delight for us. So we were also solidifying the links between us. And yes, of course, we discussed a little bit about BRICS and the summit that's coming in August. And of course, we didn't go into details that you would like me to talk about the impending coming of President Putin or not. So we are still discussing that matter. So let's leave it there, and we will be clarifying our position in time to come.
Apart from Newzroom Afrika, Mr. President, how would you respond to some NEC members who have expressed on the sidelines of your NEC that there were quite some, not all, but they were upset that how could the ANC invite President Hage Geingob when there's still this issue of Phala that has not yet been addressed?
Well, that was never expressed to me, and both of us were asked that question. We said, you know, there are all these processes that are still underway, and we didn't even discuss it because it was never on the table for discussion, and that was it.
Last one, Mr. President, government issues.
Yes.
The issue of the Minister of Electricity.
Yes.
The powers that you need to take from your National Chair, Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, and the powers you need to take from Mr. Pravin Gordhan. Is there a territorial battle ensuing?
There is no territorial battle on this matter. When I appointed the Minister of Electricity, I made it absolutely clear what the roles of the three ministers would be. I made it clear that the Minister of Electricity is going to focus his attention on ridding our country of load shedding. And therefore, he's going to focus on the generation of the energy that we need so that we reduce and eliminate load shedding. That is his task. That is his mandate. Minister of Mineral and DMRE, Minerals and Resources and Energy, his task is on the energy side to be the repository of the regulations, the laws that we have on regulating energy reside with the minister. Minister of Public Enterprises will be dealing, as I said when I made the announcement, with the issues of Eskom in relation to governance, in relation to restructuring of Eskom, so that we deliver precisely what we said we would deliver, a restructured Eskom which will hopefully become, not hopefully even, but effectively become a well-governed organization that is able to execute its mandate for our country. So there is no conflict. And of course, in the media, there's talk of this conflict and that conflict. There is no conflict as far as I'm concerned. I know exactly the delineation of the tasks of these three ministers. And truth be told, the ministers themselves are surprised that there is this talk of conflict. They work very well together. And in many ways, for me, this is a good architecture because it enhances integrated government, joined up government, so that the three of them are able to address this national challenge that we have, working together from three different aspects. So there's no conflict, there's no crisis, government goes on and the work is underway. Thank you very much.
Your SG said. Well, that's President Cyril Ramaphosa there. No territorial conflict between the ministers, thanks Mr. President, went so far as the roles and duties that each of them will play. You'll know that Electricity Minister Dr. Ziyanda Ngcobo is yet to have a proclamation actually signed in terms of delegating those duties. The president's still here. He is about to leave the Groenkloof home of Dr. Moseneke. A lot coming out of that briefing saying that the NEC members who've expressed exasperation with the fact that the ANC has had the audacity to invite President Ngcobo, whilst there's still this pala cloud hanging over both their heads. He says, well, none of that has been expressed, and in fact the issue of pala never even came up during the opening remarks of President Ramaphosa, as well as the message of support delivered by President Ngcobo insofar as the International Criminal Court and the warrant of arrest that they've issued for President Putin. Well, he says that's still a matter that is under review. So August being the date for which South Africa is chairing the BRICS summit, we don't know yet whether or not the Russians will be bringing Vladimir Putin to South Africa physically or whether he'll be joining virtually. But certainly President Cyril Ramaphosa having a lot to say on the sidelines, of course, here at the home of Moseneke, paying his condolences and being flanked, of course, by the former Deputy Chief Justice, that's Moseneke, and really talking about the kind of man that he was, and that this car accident that he experienced has taken not only the family by shock, but also the ANC as a movement at large.